It's really amazing to see scientists and mystics coming to the same conclusion about the nature of reality, the nature of life, the nature of the universe. We're in an amazing time in terms of the communications, the availability of both scientists and mystics to share their experience, either on television in high definition or on the internet. People all over the world. It's not as though you don't have to travel anywhere. You can sit in your own home, in your own living room, and communicate with mystics or scientists. We're in an amazing time. And there's quite a change happening. And I think it's really good. When it's really well done, when the message is delivered scientifically, it really provides some perspective as to who we are. And it really becomes comical when you realize, I'm worried about this little... So it just provides some perspective, and they go back in time and talk about prior to the birth of the earth. So it's really appealing to a scientific type mind, a rational intellectual mind, in a very practical way, because when you realize that this is what we are, infinite, eternal, universal life is what I am. And we can hear the message delivered scientifically, rationally, logically by scientists, or we could hear it delivered by mystics. Mystics know it intuitively and experientially, and the scientists, for the most part, know it scientifically, intellectually, rationally, logically. And it's amazing how they come to the same conclusion. And it's just a matter of how we're sort of hardwired in terms of our brain function. Some of us are more logically left-brained, and some of us are more right-brained. But when you combine the two, it's really a powerful way to provide some perspective as to who we are, and to know experientially who we are, and know logically who we are. And then there's a complete relief, because this is what we are. We are universal life. There's no way we could separate ourselves from universal life. And then when you start thinking about this and realizing, well, universal life, was it ever born? And if we have an idea of when the universe was born, we just ask the question, well, what was there before that? And we say, well, I don't know. So it's a mystery. And then, can the universe ever die? Well, what will be there after it dies? Can it even die? Does birth and death even apply to the infinite, eternal? Does it even apply, birth and death? So we begin to ask these questions like, what is life? We ask this, and then we look in the mirror and ask, what is about me that's alive? What is life? Is there any independent life apart from this from universal life? Is there any way that the earth could separate itself from universal life? And it just becomes absurd to think that anything can be separate from the totality, from the infinite totality, from the universal life, from this infinite mystery. So what a relief that is. And we see how absurd it is to worry about a hangnail. I have a hangnail on my toe, oh my God. It's just so we can relax. You can let your mind relax, let your body relax, let everything just relax. We are universal life. Universal life was never born, it can never die. It just expresses in a new form, in an infinite variety of shapes and forms. I am infinite, eternal, universal life. I know it scientifically, logically, rationally, and experientially, in my own direct experience. There can be many different reasons for being interested in spirituality or spiritual philosophy, but in general terms, it seems to me most beneficial, if we're interested in it, to know who we are, to know what we are essentially. What am I? Who am I? What am I? Because you know in your own direct experience that all of your problems relate to this me, this I that I take myself to be. Have you ever had a problem that wasn't related to this I, this me? Even if it's a problem for someone else, but it's relative to me. Have you ever had a problem that was not related to me, myself, I? My mind, my emotions, this body. Have you ever had a problem other than for me? My mind, mentally, emotionally, physically. Are there any problems? Have you ever had a problem? For me, for yourself. So it becomes obvious that if we believe that we are something that we're not, if we have a misconception about what we are, we realize how that is at the very root of all problems, of all suffering, this misconception. Believing we are something that we're not. Believing that we are temporal, that we were born, that we will die, that we're independent of and separate from everything else, that we are separate and independent, and we need to control and manipulate every moment of our experience in order to live with a sense of peace and well-being. This is the assumption, this is the mistake that has happened in the human experience that leads to suffering. It's the misconception or misperception or misunderstanding of what I am. And all problems relate to this me that I think I am. So rather than trying to solve an infinite number of problems, because the problems can be infinite, just one after another. We solve one part of our life and then we are overwhelmed by another part. We solve that part and then another part. So what about going to the core of all problems? And that is this I, this me that I take myself to be. So we can look into it scientifically, or we can look into it as the mystics do, experientially. Whichever, or both. Either way, when we clear up this misperception, or misconception, or misunderstanding of what I am, you notice the problems have no center. They have no target. So all problems are solved because there is no me who has the problem. Problems are for a misconception of a misunderstanding of what I took myself to be. So we clear up this misconception, this misperception, misunderstanding. So there's no one to have any problems. And death is a big one for many people, either consciously or unconsciously. So to realize that what we are cannot die. If we take ourselves to be a body, you're as good as dead already. But when you realize the animating power of this body was never born. So what's animating these bodies was never born. Because what's animating these bodies is universal life. The universe is alive and I am that life. So what comes of the problem of the fear of death? Can what I am die? Can the essence of what I am die? This body will die. But I know that I am infinite, eternal, universal life. So what happens to that fear of death? When there's no one who dies. There's no self-center who dies. I could not have separated my life from this infinite, eternal, universal light. There's no way. So what I am was never born. Poof, there goes the fear of death. There's a completely new perspective, realizing what I am and what I am not. Realizing that what I took myself to be was a misconception, an innocent misunderstanding, an innocent misconception that happened in the human experience. That, no one did that. It just happened. This misconception can be cleared up scientifically and experientially. And you can realize that what we are is, what I am is, was never born, can never die. So what a relief. We can relax. And also we know, other insights come to us. We realize that everything is happening. Right now, everything is happening. And it's this infinite, eternal mystery that's expressing itself. Whatever created our solar system, whatever created the Earth, created these bodies, creates every thought, every emotion, every sensation, every relationship, everything that's happening is happening by this infinite mystery that we are. So I am this infinite mystery. We are this infinite mystery, this universal intelligence, this universal life, this universal spirit, God. See how the various traditions have been pointing to the same thing for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. They just use different terminology. So when we clear up the misconception of what we are, you notice either instantaneously, poof, all the problems are gone because these false self-center, the misconceived self-center, can't stand up to investigation. It just dissolves, and there's a new perspective, and the new perspective is from the absolute, from the infinite, from the mysterious. I am this infinite mystery. It's what I am. This infinite, eternal, universal life is what I am. It's all there is. It's all we are. All this, all that. So either the misconceived egoic identity either dissolves instantly, once and for all, or it can dissolve over time. And it's just the nature of the way the mind works. You may notice that there are times when you're experiencing this perfect peace with the absence of any sense of ego, and then maybe it comes back in. But even that, even the sense of ego, the sense of being a separate entity, is an expression of this infinite mystery. There is no independent ego who has an ego. This infinite mystery has an ego. This infinite mystery has an earth. This infinite mystery has a solar system. This infinite mystery has billions and billions of galaxies and stars. And we are this infinite mystery. It's all us. So it becomes more and more obvious that everything is happening. Everything that's happening, every thought, in a very practical way, even now, whatever thoughts are arising, whatever you're aware of right now, is an expression of this infinite mystery that we are. There is no independent you who's having thoughts right now. Even the feeling and the thought that, I feel as though I am separate, and I have my own thoughts. Even that is an expression of this infinite mystery. There's only this infinite mystery that's expressing itself, and we are that. So either instantaneously you'll be finished, or old habits of the mind and identification may come back from time to time. But knowing this, either scientifically or experientially or a little of both, you can't experience the world in the same way anymore. Because you've seen through the illusion of separation. You've seen the mirage. You can't see it the same way. Now you may turn away from, you realize it's a mirage and you could have sworn it's a lake. You turn away, you look, someone says, no, it's a mirage. So you look and you see. They say, squint your eyes and just, and they explain it scientifically. It's heat rising from the earth. And experientially you see, okay, so you know scientifically and experientially. So you turn away and you say thank you, and then for a day or two you're good. Then you turn back, there it is again. It's back. That's okay. A mirage is a mirage. You can't see it the same way anymore. You know that the lake is a mirage. So you know the ego is a mirage. So what to do with the ego? Be aware and let it be. Everything is happening naturally and spontaneously on its own. And you may notice that all your problems either instantaneously are gone because the false self-center is gone, or it may happen over time. But once you know the illusion is illusion, once you know the lake is a mirage, you can't be fooled for very long. And then over time it gets easier and easier. And you may notice that there's a natural relaxation response of the mind and body. And you're beginning, and you're more and more you're living at ease, because all of your troubles were referring to a misconception that was cleared up in your own direct experience, logically, intellectually, scientifically, and experientially. It's really amazing to see scientists and mystics coming to the same conclusion about the nature of reality, the nature of life, the nature of the universe.